The year is 1776. The air across the 13 American colonies crackles with a tension that has been building for over a decade. The first shots have already been fired at Lexington and a makeshift army, cobbled together from farmers, merchants, and artisans, now surrounds the mighty British forces in Boston. What started as protests over taxes has spiraled into a full-blown rebellion. But is it a rebellion for rights as Englishmen, or for something more? The world holds its breath as 1776 dawns, a year that will forge a new nation in the crucible of war, despair, and incredible hope. As the year begins, Boston is a city under siege. General George Washington, newly appointed commander of the Continental Army, faces an immense challenge. His army is a disorganized, poorly supplied group of militias, while inside the city, the British are a professional, well-equipped fighting force. For months, it's a stalemate. Washington knows he can't attack the British fortifications directly. He needs an advantage, a game changer. That game changer arrives in the dead of winter, a train of heavy artillery cannons and mortar dragged over 300 miles of snow and ice from Fort Ticonderoga by the tireless bookseller turned Colonel Henry Knox. This noble train of artillery is a logistical miracle. Washington now has the key. Under the cover of darkness on the night of March 4th, his men perform another miracle. They haul the heavy cannons up the steep slopes of Dorchester Heights, a commanding position overlooking Boston and its harbor. When the British wake up on March 5th, they're stunned. They look up to see a formidable new fortress that seems to have appeared overnight. Their ships in the harbor are now sitting ducks. General Howe, the British commander, knows his position is untenable. He faces a choice: a bloody, uphill assault against entrenched cannons, or an evacuation. Remembering the carnage of Bunker Hill, he chooses to leave. On March 17th, the British fleet sails out of Boston, packed with soldiers and loyalist refugees. For the colonists, it's a massive victory, a huge boost to morale. They have forced the world's greatest military power to retreat without firing a shot. But the war is far from over. The British will be back, and they will be back with a vengeance. With the victory in Boston fueling their confidence, the political winds in Philadelphia begin to shift dramatically. The Second Continental Congress has been meeting, debating the path forward. Many delegates are still hesitant, hoping for reconciliation with the Crown. But a pamphlet called Common Sense, written by Thomas Paine, is spreading like wildfire through the colonies. It's powerful prose, arguing for a radical idea. Not just resistance, but complete and total independence. On June 7, Th. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia stands before the Congress and makes the motion that changes everything. Every soul bestab these united Salonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. The debate is fierce. Declaring independence is an act of treason, a step from which there is no return. To manage the monumental task, Congress appoints a committee of 5 to draft a formal declaration. The task of writing the first draft falls to a young, eloquent Virginian named Thomas Jefferson, working in a rented room in Philadelphia. Jefferson, with input from Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, spends 17 days crafting a document that will echo through the ages. He doesn't just list grievances against King George III. He articulates a revolutionary philosophy of government, that all men are created equal, endowed with unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. On Julio 12, Congress votes in favor of Lee's resolution for independence. 2 days later, on July 4, 1776, after some edits, they formally adopt Jefferson's masterpiece, the Declaration of Independence. The bell in the Pennsylvania State House, later known as the Liberty Bell, rings out. Copies are rushed to printers and sent throughout the colonies. On Julio 9 in New York City, George Washington has the declaration read aloud to his troops. Fired up by the powerful words, a crowd of soldiers and citizens marches to Bowling Green, where they pull down a massive lead statue of King George III. The statue is later melted down to make over 42,000 musket balls for the Continental Army, a perfect symbol of turning the image of a monarch into ammunition for a revolution. But symbols and declarations don't win wars. As summer heats up, the British return. And this time, they are not aiming for Boston. They are coming for the strategic heart of the colony's New York City. A massive British fleet, the largest expeditionary force of the 18th century, appears in New York Harbor. Hundreds of ships carrying over 30,000 professional soldiers, including feared German mercenaries known as Washington's Army, now numbering around 19,000, is outmanned, outgunned, and outmanned. He makes a critical error, splitting his forces between Manhattan and Long Island. In Latte Justi, the British attack. The Battle of Long Island is a disaster for the Americans. They are flanked and overwhelmed. Many are killed, and over 1,000 are captured. Washington watches the slaughter from a hill in Brooklyn, exclaiming, "Good God, what brave fellows I must this day lose." Only a desperate, brilliantly executed nighttime evacuation across the East River, shrouded by a miraculous fog, saves the Continental Army from complete annihilation. But the retreat has begun. The British take New York City. Washington's army is pushed back again and again. At the Battle of White Plains in October, the Americans are forced to retreat once more. Fort Washington and Fort Lee, key defensive positions on the Hudson River, full, with the loss of thousands more men and crucial supplies. The dream of July seems to be turning into a nightmare by November. The British now control New York, and Washington's battered army is in a desperate, full-scale retreat across New Jersey. This is the moment the revolution nearly dies. As the Continental Army stumbles through the mud and freezing rain of New Jersey, it begins to disintegrate. Morale has hit rock bottom. Soldiers are sick, starving, and their enlistments are set to expire at the end of the year. Why would anyone re-enlist to fight for a cause that seems utterly lost? The army dwindles from thousands to just a few hundred ragged men. Civilians, seeing the British Army's unstoppable advance, lose faith. Many rush to sign oaths of allegiance to the king to save their property and their lives. Thomas Paine, who had inspired them with common sense, now captures the despair of the moment, writing, "These are the times that try men's souls." Washington himself writes in a private letter that the game is pretty near up. He has been pushed all the way to the Pennsylvania side of the Delaware River, the last major barrier between the British and the rebel capital of Philadelphia. But in the darkest hour, George Washington makes a decision of breathtaking audacity. He knows that without a victory, any victory, the army will dissolve and the revolution will be over. He plans a desperate gamble, a surprise attack on the Hessian garrison stationed at Trenton, New Jersey. The plan is to cross the treacherous, ice-choked Delaware River on Christmas night and attack at dawn. The weather's horrendous. A brutal winter storm rages, with freezing rain, snow, and violent winds. 2 of the 3 American columns fail to make the crossing, but Washington, with his main force of 2,400 men, presses on. They land on the New Jersey shore hours behind schedule, their gunpowder wet, their feet bleeding. Shivering and exhausted, they march 9 miles through the storm to Trenton. At 8 a.m. on December 26th, they achieve total surprise. Tahitians, groggy from their Christmas celebrations and believing no army could move in such a storm, are caught completely off guard. The battle is short and decisive. In less than an hour, it's over. The Americans suffer only a handful of casualties, while nearly 1,000 Hessians are captured. It's not a large military victory in the grand scheme of the war, but its impact is immeasurable. The news of Trenton electrifies the colonies. It's a shot of adrenaline straight to the heart of the revolution. Washington has proven that his army can fight, and that the British are not invincible. A few days later, he follows it up with another victory at Princeton. The year 1776, which began with a triumph at Boston and descended into the depths of despair in New York and New Jersey, ends on an astonishing note of hope and renewed determination. The game was not up. The fight for independence would go on. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey back to 1776 interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from history. We'll see you in the next video.